On day one, Trump vows to launch the largest deportation campaign in U.S. history, vowing to round up millions of immigrants no matter the cost. But can he really do that? The answer is yes, and he wouldn't be the first. In a haunting chapter of American history, immigrants, many of them U.S. citizens, were seized from hospital beds, parks, and grocery stores, then abandoned in a country many had never known, all because they were made scapegoats for capitalism in disguise. Historian Becky Little takes us back to the 1930s, where during the Great Depression, up to 1.8 million people of Mexican descent were swept up in a series of mass deportations. Shockingly, about 60% of these individuals were U.S. citizens. Their only crime was existing in a time when blame for economic hardship was wrongly placed on them. Imagine this: a hospital orderly lifting a patient with paralysis from their bed, carrying them to a waiting truck, and then sending them across the border. In Los Angeles, hundreds of people were rounded up in parks, workplaces, and hospitals. A woman with leprosy was taken from her hospital bed and left over the border. Even children were forced onto buses and trains, bound for a country many had never known. The raids didn't just tear families apart. They shattered entire communities, leaving scars that would last generations. All of this happened with little to no due process. People were arrested and deported on site without trials, hearings, or a chance to even prove their citizenship. For many, these deportations were clear violations of basic constitutional rights, yet the government looked away. The bitter irony: these deportations didn't even help the economy. Economists now say that they deepened unemployment among native-born Americans and drove wages down. President Hoover thought that the deportations would solve economic problems, but instead they worsened the Depression and led to his defeat in 1932. This chilling reminder of the past shows how history often repeats itself. Trump has vowed to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to carry out these mass deportations, a costly and difficult endeavor requiring cooperation from multiple federal agencies, though some are refusing to help. For those ready to say, they chose him, I ain't doing anything, I ask you to capitulate to white supremacy in silence and with shame. White supremacy is a multinational ideology, and some of you are practically auditioning to be one of its ambassadors. Go do that in hiding. I like people to keep in mind that mass deportation policies don't just affect Latinos either. They affect other Black people in the diaspora. In addition, despite having to pay taxes, undocumented immigrants cannot vote and shouldn't be the target of your hate. So if you're ready to fight back like me, consider joining organizations like Legalization for All. But honestly, all of this really makes me wonder because
really have to do more work on people, teach them history, don't repeat, it didn't repeat, so, okay?